Hello, guys. Welcome to the Arsenal Truex Galaxy podcast. Joining me today, it's Ray from the Arsenal Fan Circle, which I'm a part of sometimes whenever I can. Anyway, it's good to see you, Ray. So glad that you're able to join me today as we discussed the draw against Brighton. We woke up very early this morning to watch the match. I woke up at 5:24, and I had to get Dunkin' Donuts before the match starts so I could avoid traffic, and I got my coffee in time to watch the whole game. And so, yeah, just give us your thoughts on how the match went. Obviously, it ended in a draw, unfortunately. So, Brighton are a good team. Fair play to them. But it just didn't work out for us as supporters. We had chances at the end with 10 men down, 10 men, but it's so hard to win the game like that, no matter how good a team you are. You're going to get punished regardless. And there's some chances there that we thought that we could have had maybe two more go in, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Um, we saw the game. I saw the game as well, and it seems like Chris Kavanaugh, the games that he's refed isn't really good enough. I was listening to a little bit of the DWTT podcast with Sam and Gary and Tom, and Sam was saying that he should, maybe referee go down teams doing it, they're bad. They get relegated, right? Maybe referees should do the same thing because they're not good enough, and I don't think they can handle the pressure of refereeing a big game like it was today. So that being said, Ray, what are your thoughts on the game? I guess we'll go first half first and go from there.
Yeah, I think you make some good valid points there, Alonso. A tier system, if a referee between the Premier League and the EFL Championship, if a referee is not performing well, he drops down into like a mid-table clash. If he continues to not perform well, he drops down into one of the better games in the EFL in the next level down. So there's a lot to that, but they're never going to do that. It's a little bit like the old boys club um, with the Premier League officiating. And look, it's the letter of the law. We don't like it. It's what happened to Declan Rice. We know we could all see him going for that first challenge and that first yellow card, and he mistimed that one, so that's a valid yellow card. And I think we're just asking for referees to have a little bit of common sense. We've seen this in previous seasons. The first few games, they like to set a marker down. They like to be stringent with certain things, and we've had a player sent off at Crystal Palace. I think it was Tomiyasu with not taking the throw
Yeah.
quickly enough as well, or two taking his time with it. So these things are going to settle down into the next few weeks, and we won't something like this. We won't see happen. Although we want consistency from the referees, we also want sensible refereeing. Get the players together, Veltman and Rice, and say, cut it out. It's a game of personalities as well. It's a game of mentality. It's a game of winning your duels, as Mikel Arteta would like to say. And Rice and Veltman were in it in that situation. And Rice, they're saying, there's what could Rice do? The player is always going to throw the ball a few yards ahead of himself in order to
Mm.
take a free kick. And Veldman's a little bit clever here. He's gonna at least make the referee make a decision by kicking the ball or trying to kick the ball, because he was going to kick the ball into Rice if Rice hadn't flicked the ball away. And of course, the referee's far away, but he sees Declan Rice just flicking the ball away. He doesn't see the swing of the leg from Veltman. Yeah, we're just asking for common sense from the referees, but sometimes in this day and age, in these referees, you don't get common sense. They just apply the rules willy nilly and don't think about officiating and managing the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say a shout out to Russ Morgan. Good evening, lads. And Russ also says, going head to head with the trip, you're dividing the audience.
No, it's a delayed
Well,
start. It's a delayed start. You got
yeah,
3 minutes trip. You got first half.
yeah. That's what happens, man. Whenever you aren't loyal to a certain individual. Anyway, so right, so moving forward, so I kind of think that the first half, refereed. It looks like Saka, as an Arsenal fan, we've kind of gotten used to seeing Saka get beat up, and not beat up in the sense that you have other teams kind of tackle him or grab his shirt because he's just that good, right? Where he'll cause commotion, and I think teams are still trying to defend him, and he gets his shirt pulled or he gets tackled. He gets fouled to a certain extent to where, hey, why are our guys getting carded and yet they're not? So there's a sense of you got to be fair when you call these games because it could lead to a like Rice's case, a WLO, and in a way it's kind of unfortunate because I'm hearing these pundits say, well, Rice is just as guilty as getting in front of the guy who was trying to kick the ball as a free kick.
Yeah.
But then again, he was just trying to walk away from it. And I think, the Brighton defender was trying to antagonize the referee to get Declan Rice a card or what have you. But it's a very unfortunate situation. Um, and I think also Danny Welbeck was trying to get the referees to get a card as well. So, right. So, right. We all wanted a striker in the transfer window. Unfortunately, we did not get it. Again, Kai Havertz scores again. Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka got a good ball into Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on how our transfer window process went? A lot of fans didn't really agree with that because we could have gotten a lot more. Though we did get players in key positions, such as Calafiori, Marino, and Sterling. We got like 10 goalkeepers, I think. I know I'm probably exaggerating there, but
We
that's
did
what it seems like.
Yeah, we did do a few goalkeepers, but we've moved essentially from Ramsdale to Raya, and that's been ratified this summer with Raya's permanent transfer from a loan. There can be no arguments that David Raya, again, he showed up today, and but for David Raya, we're probably talking about a defeat today, Alonso.
Mhm.
So yeah, listen, we have upgraded in the goalkeeping position, and we had a lot of transfers. Transfers are talked about from club to club for probably about 9 or 10 months in the year, and it all crystallizes and happens in the summer and January windows into a very small window, let's say. But let's not be fooled here. The summer window is long. There's enough time to get work done, and some Arsenal fans are disappointed that Calafiori took a number of weeks. Mikel Mourinho took a number of weeks. Um, I'm happy with the business that we've done with those players. We brought in some quality players: Calafiori, Mourinho, David Raya, backup goalkeeper, and that's how we got that done. And right at the dead, it was not planned for Raheem Sterling, but I think we're probably going to be thankful that we have Raheem Sterling, given the amount of games that we're going to play. Now, with all that being said, Alonso, the other key part of Arsenal's summer was actually moving some players on and getting some decent amount of transfers for them. So when you look at the net spend, it's probably not a big difference, like 10 or 20 million is the net spend. I personally, and I know will probably speak for the majority of Arsenal fans, we wanted to have another 9, another forward come in as well. a striker or a forward of some sort. It feels like the club didn't pull the trigger on anything, didn't do anything in that regard. So we're looking at on the left hand side, Trossard or Martinelli. These are the front three positions, right? Trossard, Martinelli, Jesus, Havertz, or on the right hand side, Sterling and Saka. So that's really six players now across three positions. And I think we're going to have injuries. We have a suspension with Dr. Rice coming up that's going to impact
Hmm.
the team from the North London Derby. And we got to hold this draw now for 2 weeks as well. But certainly, I think we should have done more in terms of getting a player in. I know we wanted to have quality over quantity because the squad did need to get trimmed down. But I think we could have been able to do a replacement for Eddie and Kedia because that's really what we didn't do. We didn't replace Eddie and Kedia leaving.
Yeah, and I think Ray. I think reading Twitter, or it's called X now, that a lot of people were calling for a dude's job because we've been linked to so many strikers this summer and probably January as well that we didn't get our guy. And the rumors that we could get Asuman, we could have gotten Evan Tony, we could have gotten Gregorius. Is that how you say his name, right? You-
Yo, Chris. Yep.
Jokers. And those didn't really transpired there. And there are rumors that we couldn't afford them, which I don't think is true because we all had a sense of, well, a dude say wait till deadline day, we have a surprise or whatever it was. And again, we wait till deadline day and then we get Raheem Sterling, which to me, his experience will help out, but at the end of the day, how much playing time does he need? Um, and is he really an upgrade to Bruce Nelson? And could he play the nine like Cesar has, like Gabriel Jesus has, and or you talk about injuries, right? Again, Jesus is undependable because he's always in the physio room doing for something. And as an Arsenal fan, I remember when you got him, we were praising him because he won trophies with City, but then he missed a lot of time his first season, and then last year, and now this year. So, at what point do Adu and Arteta figure out that Jesus, as much as he's injured, why can't they consider had that in consideration and just sign another forward, and number nine? And we've seen Kai Havertz now score 2 goals in 3 games, so he's kind of figured it out, and that's what we have really. And Trossard can play at number nine as well, which is good, but he's inconsistent as well. So I think they missed the mark here, and having another play with height as well.
Yeah, I think you're right, Alonso. They definitely missed the mark in bringing another player in. Talk about Raheem Sterling. He was Liverpool fans don't really like him because he left Liverpool under a cloud. Went to Man City, and really a Man City. That's the player. That's the kind of player we're going to be looking for this season. Um, I don't really rate. I can't really rate what he's done at Chelsea because we know Chelsea's a bit of a shit show right now
Mm-hmm.
at that club, and we saw Kai Havertz return from Chelsea and play in his best position last season for half a season, and his numbers are actually this calendar year. His numbers are third behind Haaland and I think Ollie Watkins. I'm not sure, but he's third in what he's in his contributions, goal, assists. So what we're really looking for Raheem Sterling, and look, he has a lot of miles on the clock. He's been playing a lot since he was a young kid, but he's still not much older than Leandro Trossard. So we're looking for Raheem Sterling to contribute. And this thing that Arsenal fans have been crying out for is a very, very good option when Bukayo Saka gets tired late in games, for a player to come on. And I think for most of the majority of Sterling's involvements will be to come on in Saka's place. What we saw today as well, Alonso, was the connection that Saka and Havertz are starting to
Mhm.
have. We saw that in the first game at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers, where they actually assisted each other to score. And Bukayo Saka, we're starting to see another element in Bukayo Saka's game from today. The vision to be able to play that ball into space for Kai Havertz to run
Mhm.
on for that goal. So we're starting to see Bukayo Saka have an understanding with Kai Havertz, who, like it or not, now he's our number 9, and we're probably going to roll with Kai Havertz. And in a way, Arteta should never be forced to play Kai Havertz in midfield again, because he's kind of unlocked him as a number 9. 2 goals in 3 games, as you said, now to start the season. Now, we're looking at Kai Havertz to hit close to 20 goals in the Premier League this season. And that understanding between Saka and Kai Havertz is going to be very, very important.
Yeah, and like there's some supporters on our podcast that we do on Thursday nights that really don't favor Kai Havertz still, and they question whether he could do this all year long. And because most fans still want to judge him based on his first half of last year's season,
Yep.
on his not getting that many goals. And granted, Arteta played in midfield, like you said, and that was not his best position because they're trying to um, fulfill or replace him like with Granit Xhaka's position. Um, so I thought that was kind of unfair for Arsenal fans to judge him because of what he went through at Chelsea. Um, I knew that once he signed with Arsenal, it was going to take some work because he lost his confidence at Chelsea,
Yeah.
and that he was a damaged player when he came to us. Well, with that said, I think that the way that they incorporated him, meaning his teammates at Arsenal, uh, to slowly get him into the team, the way I think Odegaard allowed him to take that penalty at Bournemouth
Yeah.
really helped his confidence. And I think it takes a lot for a player to get motivated because he sees his teammates now kind of reach different levels as he was at Chelsea. Um, so yeah, I think that it kind of helped him this year understand that he has a bigger role when he first came here than last year when he first came in as a midfielder, playing at number 8. Um, so it takes a lot of courage for a guy who had no confidence last year to finish off strong and to have confidence to start this season on a high note.
Yeah, definitely 100%, Alonso. One other thing I wanted to mention about Raheem Sterling is he's got ambition to win more honors, to win more things. Leaving Chelsea, we should get a very, very hungry player who wants to avenge what happened. I really want to see Sterling come up against Chelsea in those 2 games and see what he can do to prove a point. The other thing as well is that he could have gone to Saudi for 650,000 a week, so that tells you a lot.
Yeah, and when we could have gotten Osman and Ortoni, the rumors were that we were in for those guys. They went to Saudi, and they both went to Saudi, right? And so, uh, seeing Usman leave for Saudi Arabia, they were saying that well, his career's done because you don't get that much publicity playing in Saudi. Like Ivan Tony as well, they could have went to Chelsea or Arsenal, wherever else. And instead, they went to Saudi Arabia, which, well, last time I checked, they really had any audience watching the games. It just the guys are playing in front of a really really low audience.
Mm.
Um, so I'm just curious to know like besides the money, why would anyone go there?
It is the money. I mean, it has to be the money.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Ivan Tony, and in particular, like he's going to maybe go there for a couple of seasons, earn a lot of money, and they're thinking he'll come back to the Premier League in a couple of seasons. There was a stigma around Ivan Tony with the betting scandal,
right.
and a lot of clubs didn't look at him. Arsenal probably included, more of an attitude thing. And we're looking at the same thing with Osimhen. What's going to happen with Osimhen now, Alonso? He's been banished from
Hmm.
Napoli, right? And he's got no place to go. I mean, I
It's
think.
like there's no ambition.
Hmm?
It's like there's no ambition with those guys, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And look, Arsenal. I probably looked at Osimhen and looked at Tony, and obviously looked at Tony and decided to go against it. What do we do in that striking position? Because we have to build a team. In my opinion, we have to build a team, and a lot of Arsenal fans' opinion, to challenge for the Champions League. That's what we want to do. We want to win the Premier League, certainly, but we want to win the Champions League as well in a situation where we have generational players like Bukayo Saka, Odegaard. You could say Martinelli if he reignites again or has a good season. We have outstanding players. Saliba at the back, David Raya, Gabriel as well is proving to be a bit of a warrior. Uh, although
Ben White as well.
Ben White, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with Gabriel's challenge for the goal today as well.
Yeah.
There was a gap. Tony pointed out a big gap between the two central defenders last week against Aston Villa, and that happened again today. They got pulled out of position. That's something we have to be careful about. Teams game plan for the left back attacking the left back Zinchenko area last season. Now they're probably going to try and pull uh, Gabriel and Saliba wide,
Hmm.
so you have this channel through the middle, and we have to be careful. That player ran off of Saliba's shoulder into that gap.
Yeah, and it's so disappointing because we both remember last year how good they were together. Now, granted, it didn't help that we were 10 men to their 11, well, 12, which include Kavanaugh. But it's just a game that they played. You know, I think Brighton are a better team than they were last year. Obviously, they have a new fresh manager, um, and you know he got players who play for him, which is always a good thing if you're a young coach, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think as an Arsenal fan, seeing how good Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes, aka Megalegs, were, you know, I do not want to continue to call him out like I used to on your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Because he's worked so hard to um to withhold Zinchenko's failures, and it became all about him making mistakes. Well, he got better, and you know, took that on, and just the last thing we need is for him to take two steps backwards. And to see also seeing Saliba in the position that he was, Saliba has been a great defender since he's been in Arsenal. So you know, it puzzles me on why they wanted to make mistakes now. You know, and I hope they regroup and you know we could be taught them next time we play them, or next time we play in the 15th September. But yeah, you know, I just it kind of shows you how bad you know a team can be without a missing player due to a red card, and it shows that
Well,
we got punished.
look at it this way, Alonso. I'm sure Arsenal fans have realized this already. We got Mikel Merino, who is out for 6 to 8 weeks. He's going to miss approximately 8 games. Um,
Wait, I thought it was just 2 weeks.
no, it's a fractured shoulder, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Declan Rice, I think the club is going to have to be forced to appeal this second yellow card and get the red card rescinded, because we can't go to the North London Derby where, you know, Partey and Odegaard being two parts of the midfield, and then you have to think: is it going to be Jorginho or is it going to be Ethan Nwaneri, or are we going to play Sinchenko in midfield? Are we going to play maybe Timber in midfield? I'm sure we have a lot of options. I didn't like us going to five at the back, or play three at the back and have wing backs. I thought we gave them too much impetus, and this is probably after they scored the equalizer. We gave them too much of the ball. We gave them too much respect. I would have liked to have seen maybe Jorginho come in and do something in midfield. And I don't think Trossard. I think Martinelli would have had the same kind of game that Trossard had. So fans are going to flip back to Martinelli again because Trossard seemed to be a little bit ineffective. Well, the first 15, 20 minutes of the game, Trossard was in the game, and Brighton probably, being a former player, they wanted to close him out a bit.
Yeah. To me, Ray, I think, if you're losing players or players are hurt, if you're Arteta, why can't you just, change formations? I brought this up before. I would not mind seeing Martinelli become a second striker. Maybe switch it up to a 4-4-2 formation, and having maybe uh, Partey and Odegaard at midfield, having two wingers, and having Martinelli play alongside Havertz. Um, I think that's something that Arteta is not too keen on, because you gotta learn how to adapt to who your opponent is. Um, Now you mentioned Timber playing midfield. We all know that Ajax has been known for their players playing multiple positions. Um, Now, would he work better besides Martin Odegaard, or would there be two pivots in Martin Odegaard? Um, Zinchenko, I think, will get beat up in midfield as a left eight. Winari he's just too young, but then again, it'd be a good experience for him to play in a big game like the Northern Derby. At some point, Arteta's gonna have to take that risk, and whether it be League Cup, FA Cup, or Premier League game, uh, at some point, Winari's had to have that big game experience. And
Yeah.
um, so, Ray,
Throw on the
what were
Derby
your thoughts?
going to be tough to throw him in there.
Yeah,
Now,
but what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that exact decision, right? Who would be the best if Rice were not to play that game? Who would be your best bet to play at left eight, or would you go double pivot?
I'd have to go with Partey and Jorginho in there
Mm,
as
okay.
a double pivot, and Odegaard, could play across the front three and try to supply. Um, I think Nwari can play in the North London Derby, but it's going to probably have to be 15, 20 minutes in the end. We have to imagine that game, Alonso, is going to be frenetic, fast, physical, and Tottenham are going to try to take the game to us in that game. Well, as I said earlier, we got 2 weeks now. We have to hold this draw for 2 weeks, and it's always annoying when you go to an international break on the back of dropping points. Whether some will see it as we rescued a point here because we David Raya actually came up with a couple of decent saves. We had a couple of chances on the other end as well on the
Mm,
breakaway. Saka, Odegaard missed a couple of passes to free Calafiori on the left hand side, and I think Martinelli on the left hand side as well. So Odegaard probably the one player in the team you'd expect to play a really good beat that defender and play the ball to Calafiori, who's steaming up on the left hand side. But It wasn't a B. We end with a draw. Kai Havertz, I think he's growing into has been growing into the role, and he's showing this season where he left off last season. So so Kai Havertz and Bukayo Saka are really showing up so far this season.
Yeah, Ray, you mentioned them two, but at what point does Martinelli, come on and prove his worth? He's been injured a lot. I think it takes a lot of rhythm to get back on his game. Like you said before, people were saying, well, Trossard didn't do a lot today. So, is this going to go as, well, we're going to play Martinelli this game and then we're going to put Trossard this game?
Tell you what,
We're
Alonso, Raheem Sterling can play on the left as well.
Yeah.
So, if I'm Martinelli and I'm Trossard, I'm saying, well, now we've got a third player here that could potentially play on the left. And yes, when Bukayo Saka comes off, Raheem could go to the right hand side, and then you can allow Martinelli or Trossard to come in. So, they really have to produce whoever's going to play Martinelli or Trossard. They give us different things in their game that we can use in a game state situation, but at the end of the day, performances are great and everything, but when you look at what they've done in the season, you look at goals and you look at assists, especially when in those forward three positions. That's how you're going to be rated. A striker's rated on goals, so wingers should be rated on goals and assists. You should have some assists along with the goals that you're finishing as well. So Martinelli, Trossard, Saka, and Havertz will be rated on goals. To answer something you mentioned earlier, do they know about Gabriel Jesus? You're damn right they know about Gabriel Jesus, and they know that he's not going to produce. He is who he is right now. We couldn't move him on this window. Next summer, Gabriel Jesus will be moving on to another team. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and it's kind of discouraging because, like I said, if his first year here, there's a lot of hype around him, and he did his fair share of helping us get to Champions League football again. But then again, he did get hurt. He didn't produce goal scoring wise as number 9. Um, so there's a problem there because he's always getting hurt in training. He's very independable. With that said, whenever he's playing, he always comes up with a goal and or an assist. And the talent is there, right? It's just a matter of why is he always getting hurt, and or why is he so inconsistent? And as a title contending team, you need more consistency out of him, given the fact that he has won trophies at City.
Especially Alonso, if we're going to look at Gabriel Jesus as one of 6 players who can impact the front 3 positions, he's got to impact it. That's the word. He's got to bring an impact. And I think he scored something like 3 or 4 goals in the Premier League all of last season. And that was with injuries, but he did play enough games. He needs to give more. If we're looking at those 6 players, Sterling, Saka, Havertz, Trossard, Martinelli, Jesus is probably going to contribute the least of all of those players this season.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because he could put a ball on net at any given moment, but he's too busy trying to go to ground, hoping for a penalty, and or he over dribbles, and then the ball defender has already blocked it or defended it. Same thing with Martinelli. I noticed that he drives the ball very well, but then when he crosses it, nobody's there, or he shoots it directly as a goalkeeper. And we're hard on Martinelli because we could do better than that. That's a problem. Like Jesus, you give him a pass because we know what he could do. We know what he's going to do when he gets the ball. He's going to over dribble and then you go to ground. And uh, Trossard is very talented, and he could put the ball in the box, and something will happen. That's not every game,
Well,
but usually it works out.
let me ask you this, Alonso. I want you to give me the three top goals and assist guys in those six players. Who's going to give you the most in the whole season?
Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz and Trossard.
There you are. That's your preferred starting lineup up front.
Mhm.
Martinelli, Jesus, and Sterling. They're not going to give you a lot. It looks like.
Yeah, because if you look at it last year, right? I believe Saka, Trossard, and Havertz all had 10 goals. And then people don't realize how good of an assist guy, Havertz is. He's very, very good on the ball, being a playmaker. And we haven't had that in quite a very long time. Um, I think Van Persie was a good assist guy as an essential forward. So, you know, I think that's a very underrated aspect of Trossard's game. He's a very good passer. Inside the box, giving others opportunity to score. Um, and I think he had more assists than he had goals his first half of the season, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a very underrated part of his game. And Trossard uh, surprisingly gave us his first, I guess, when he signed him in January, I believe. He had a very good assist record to goals. But last year he had a very good goals record to assists. So, we're very, very lucky to have Trossard as a matter of fact because he can score goals, but he can also pass the ball as well. And Saka is very, very good both ways because he drives the ball very, very well.
Yeah, definitely. Just this fan base, we all have different opinions and we all have different standards. But following up on this transfer window and a draw here, where we didn't take our chances. We know we didn't get a striker in who's going to move the needle on what we did last season. So we're going to have some games where we're going to struggle. But we are good at the back. We should concede the least this season. But again, we go into a situation where we don't know where if Jesus or Marinelli are going to produce. I think Sterling could get about 10 goals this season in the
I think
Premier League.
so.
Yeah, we're looking at Saka, Havertz, and Trossard to provide most of the goals, though.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think Sterling coming off the bench will do wonders for Saka. I think he'll do more than what Reece Nelson ever did. And in a way, it's kind of unfortunate that it didn't work out for Reece Nelson, Emile Rowe, and Nketiah. But it's good for them to move on. I just hope that if Reece Nelson does come back from his loan deal, that he'll become a better player for it. So you know, I just hope that Fulham have a good year too. Because still have a heart for Emile Rowe. I hope he does succeed at Fulham. I really do, and you know, yeah,
We got a few players to Fulham now. Arsenal players. Nelson has gone there as well.
okay,
Emile Smith Rowe, Leno.
mhm,
It will be. All right.
yeah, and that's all right, man. Whatever worked for them, but I'm always rooting for them. Leno, I think, got screwed over. Ray, I just hope that Arteta just stops this, goalkeeper carousel.
Look, we've been ruthless. When Arteta's done a lot of good work in 4 years. He's overhauled our goalkeepers. He's overhauled the defenders who were horrible when he started. We need some work in midfield, which we're trying to address. Partey This has got to be his last season. If you think Partey can run with Yao Pedro for that goal, you're having a laugh. You need he needs a little bit more protection behind them. Saliba and Gabriel were too far apart. It's a kind of a mismatch in American football where you have like a running back up against the linebacker. It's just not going to happen. João Pedro's got too much speed coming through. Um, but what we have not done, and Arteta gets criticized rightly for this, we have not bought a forward in Arteta's time other than Trossard or Gabriel Jesus. And Trossard has been a very, very good buy. Gabriel Jesus has been kind of what we knew what he was going to be at Man City. He never really was the man at Man City. He never scored enough, and at Arsenal, he hasn't really progressed or had a prolific season.
Yeah, with Jesus, it seems like every time he tries to do something, he gets mad at himself or he'll beg for a call to go his way. And at Arsenal, us fans don't want to see that. Given the fact that we came in second 2 years in a row. And this is what we all talk about back in the day in your first in your podcast, right? The sit back six, right? And slowly, yes. And now you're seeing guys like, Jesus and Zinchenko follow that suit because now we're at levels now where we're trying to win the Premier League, do good in Champions League, and these guys are still, so they're still riding the coattails of Saka, Odegaard,
There,
Havertz, Ben White.
there, as a team, there are steps that we needed to make. We needed to get out of being eighth place twice. We bought players that got us into a fifth place. Well, Ramsdale was one of them. A player who got us to fifth place in his first season. Jesus and Zinchenko and Ramsdale again got us into second place, for a couple of seasons. Now we've gone to a Declan Rice, David Raya, Havertz. You could say Havertz is going to make that level as well because if you score 20 goals in the Premier League, you got a pretty good chance of winning the Premier League as a striker.
Yeah, right. And we talk about, well, we didn't have enough last year. And it's funny because those games we lost to Fulham, to Aston Villa twice, to West Ham, Newcastle, and then our team. How did those games were decided by VAR? Look at Newcastle game. We drew against City, which, to be fair, City's a hard place to play, as Eddie had.
Yeah. We're going to play them after the North London Derby. We're going to play City. And I think that can be a game where we should be more open because it's early, right? Okay. I'm going to say you don't want to go. Potentially, we could go 5 points behind City after that game if we lose because we dropped 2 points today. City are going to play West Ham. Whoever they play next, they could win. They could win their first 5 games, and we could lose to City. But I think it's a game where the pressure's off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not like in March or April when we faced them that we were still ahead of them. We were still ahead of City after that draw at the Etihad. Look, a lot of Arsenal fans say that's the time when you need to kill your opponents. You need to kill Man City at that point in time. But let's look at that in September. Uh, we we knew the first 5 games were going to be tough, Alonso. We did really well last weekend to beat Aston Villa. And look, this is also building our fitness up. We're not at 100% yet. International break is going to it's going to be an unwelcome. All international breaks are unwelcome when it comes to club football, but this one's going to be unwelcome because our momentum is slowed players are going to go away. But we done well to beat Wolves. We done well, really well to beat Aston Villa. I thought we would go on and win. If we had Declan Rice, at the end of the day, Declan Rice has to hold his hand up and say he made a mistake. He was on a yellow card. When you're on a yellow card, you can't do that. You can't give the referee, even if the referee's from Manchester area, you can give that referee that chance to do that to you. And it's Declan Rice. It's a player. Look at this. City last season, City had Rodri sent off for something against Nottingham Forest for petulance as well. They didn't do well in the 3 games that Rodri was out. Luckily, with Declan Rice, he's just gonna miss that 1 game. Hopefully, I think Mikel Arteta is going to look at his midfield options and say, we need to try to appeal Declan Rice. I doubt if the Premier League are going to rescind that yellow card because they're trying to, put things, trying to enforce their new laws. You know what I mean? But yeah, we'll have to see what happens. We knew in these first 5 games were going to be tough. We go on to win this game if Declan Rice is still on the field today. Unfortunately, he's got to hold it. We have to hold it. And you know what? We go into these next 2 games, we got to prepare right. And if we can win these next 2 games, we're in really good position. I would even take, I'll take a draw at the Etihad. Beat Tottenham because they are not a good side. We can beat Tottenham at the Northern, but take a draw at the Etihad.
You know what's funny, Ray? We do a podcast on Thursday nights, and there's a certain podcaster
Panel
who goes by. I think you have. He goes by EWTT, and his hopes for Arsenal are way high, right?
Sure.
Where some of us are realistic, and we know that this current squad has weaknesses. All the teams do. And I think to go undefeated in this day and age in the Premier League is hard to do.
Yeah.
And the schedule that we were given to start the season realistically was hard. A lot of our supporters didn't have us beating Aston Villa at Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And they're a top 4 team.
Yep.
With that said, realistically, we could beat Spurs. Like you said, a draw is more manageable
at the Etihad
during this time of year. And Brighton are a good team too. So there's no shame in drawing against Brighton. Now, with that said, Ray, I think some supporters will take this as a loss, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
and
you're in control after 50, 55 minutes, whatever the sending off was. I think it was in the 57 minute.
Yeah, it's quite early.
49 minutes. I was early in the second half.
Yeah.
Brighton are riding the wave of a new manager. We knew it was going to be a tough game. I thought we would win about 3-1. I thought we would play better.
That's what I.
Yeah, we didn't play brilliantly in the first half. We got the goal, a deserved lead. We had a couple of chances from Odegaard, the volley in the first half, straight at the keeper. Saka straight at the keeper in the first 20 minutes. And we got the breakthrough after 38 minutes. But the game obviously turns. In the Premier League, the game turns on any kind of a dismissal, a sending off. You cannot play against a really good team, a well-coached team, with 1 man down, even at home. And that's it. Last season we drew games against Fulham and Tottenham, and this feels like the Fulham draw at the Emirates a little bit,
Yeah. Anyways, so So, Ray, so that being said, I'm probably going to close out this soon.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, I guess, how I know a lot of people want to draw conclusions already, as far as transfer windows, um,
Yeah.
the first three games and all that. Moving forward, who do you think is best suited at left back? And um, hopefully, when Marino gets healthy, there won't there won't be that pressure of him to do great things. Um, Again, it's unfortunate. We all see Timber all over again last year how Marino got hurt and he didn't touch the pitch yet.
Yeah.
Um, was it fair for Arteta to put him, or excuse me, Arteta, to put him in early training that hard? Or do things just happen?
Put Timber in.
No, or this is like a two-part question.
Yeah.
Uh, do you think, for one, do you think it's suited for Timber to play left back, and or do you think do you think Arteta should have put Marino to train that early, that hard, considering he just joined the team?
Yeah. Listen. We had Arsenal players 6 or 7 years ago saying, "Don't train too hard. I don't like to train too hard," and we were a weak team. When you have a bad training session or you don't train correctly, you're not going to play well on the week when the match day comes up. Um, it sounds like Gabriel Magalhaes landed on top of Miguel Marino, and he has a
Mhm.
life fracture in his shoulder. I'm going to put this down to one of these things that happens in training. It just happened to be one of his first sessions with the team. Um, no, but no, we needed to get Marino in, and we needed to get him training again. Real Sociedad made it difficult for Liverpool when it comes to Zubimendi. They
Mhm.
made it difficult for Arsenal when it came to Marino. We got him over the line, but with Calafiori and with Marino, could we have gotten them in earlier? Possibly. And that's a criticism that Edu has to hold. Could we have gotten a striker? 100%. I hope that we could have gotten somebody. It didn't have to be somebody I was going to send Kai Havertz to the bench. Didn't have to be a better player than Kai Havertz. It could have been a young player coming through, but somebody that would take the burden and be a different look. So yeah, I'm okay with the program for Mourinho. It's just one of those freak things that happened. Now you're asking me about Timber or Calafiori. I'd like to see each of them a little bit more. And
Mhm.
against Tottenham and against Man City, we're going to see what they're made of. I get the feeling that Timber is going to be deployed in that left back position, or is trusted more because he started today. But I think when the chips were down, Mikel Arteta brought Calafiori on for Trossard. I think he should have brought Jorginho on, knowing Rice was. And I wanted a few players today. I wanted a few players to get some rhythm. I wanted Calafiori to play. I wanted Jorginho to come on. And when you looked at the bench as well, we were a little bit light because Salah was there, Lewis Skelly was there, Waneri was there. So that's three academy players from last season, and Waneri is the most likely to make that step up. But yeah, I wanted to see a little bit more rhythm. I wanted to see something done proactively. We lost a midfielder in Declan Rice and probably should have brought Jorginho on, knowing he might play in that North London derby. But yeah, listen, it's been good to chat. If you've got any more questions for me, Alonso, or the chat box, throw them in now.
Yeah. So, Ray, do you have so what are your thoughts on Johnny Gaudreau passing away? I know that he was a beloved hockey player, um, both for the Flames and the Blue Jackets. He was from New Jersey area, from
Yeah,
what my dad is from.
not not familiar with that story.
Yeah, so well, it was on ESPN last night and yesterday, and apparently him and his brother were biking in New Jersey, southern New Jersey, and a drunk driver struck both of them and killed them instantly.
Wow.
Um, it kind of sucks. American born player, superstar, and died on scene, and very horrific, very tragic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Listen,
So
thoughts and prayers
sucks.
to the family of those.
Yeah, sucks, man.
Way.
So that being said, Ray, what are your thoughts on the Eagles coming up, man? They play next Friday. They play the Green Bay Packers in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the season coming up? You're an Eagles fan like myself,
Yeah.
so I want your thoughts on that upcoming
Uh,
season.
if you're a New York Giants fan or if you're a Cowboys fan, Gary, close your ears, right? Uh,
Commanders.
um, I think Jalen. We asked Jalen Hurts to do too much last season, and we were great for 10 games. But this 4th and 1, I think we indulged that too much. Uh,
Mm, yeah,
Using Jalen Hurts in these situations, I actually think he probably got hurt in one of those games. He didn't have a running. We didn't have a good enough running game, or we didn't trust the running game. We tried Jalen. We asked Jalen Hurts to do too much, the quarterback. Now, as you know, we've got Saquon Barkley, a premium running back, who should take some of the pressure off of Jalen Hurts, and a good first and second down running back that will be able to get Jalen Hurts into like a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 situations. So when you're passing, it's a lot more manageable, right? Um, so yeah, and we've obviously brought a couple of receivers in as well. I'm not as familiar with that, but I think we might have as well upgraded defensively as well because we were a little bit worn down last season
mhm.
defensively. So listen, with all that being said, Jalen Hurts coming back, a running game behind him, wide receivers to find. Um, should mean going to the playoffs again, and it should mean I'm looking at getting all the way to a conference game against the 49ers. Right? It's going to be the
The
40
match.
a rematch again. It's been a bit of a grudge match. We beat them 2 years ago. We beat them, and they beat us in the last
Monday night. Yeah.
game. So. Um, we have to beat the 49ers, which is going to be difficult. And then let me just say, AFC side, it's probably Kansas City Chiefs again. You know what I mean?
Oh God. I just realized watching that Arsenal game on UFC Network how similar Patrick Mahomes and Kermit the Frog sound like.
Yeah, exactly. They do sound alike. But what are your thoughts? Do you think the Eagles can? They've got a good chance to get to the Super Bowl if they play well and are fit. Like Arsenal. A lot of things in any sports, it comes down to your fitness levels. You're talking, in any sport, if you're ready to go and 100%, you have a great chance to do great things. But Arsenal will be dependent again on injuries this season, and I think the Eagles will be dependent on injuries as well.
The good thing about it, right? We made some good defensive changes. Not only that, we made some good coaching changes as well. I think last year we had Johnson and Sinai as our defensive and offensive coordinators, and you could tell the weaknesses that they had on their team. They gave a lot of points on defense. They were really lackluster. They had the players, but again, We had Bradbury giving up a lot of yards. You had uh, Darius Slay doing the same thing. Our safeties couldn't cover. The cornerbacks couldn't. They got burnt every time.
Yeah.
Not enough sacks like the season before. So we took, a lot of the former coaches for granted when they left.
Yeah.
Like Gannon, like the guy from the Colts now. So whenever you had okay coordinators like that, Ben don't break defense,
Yeah.
um, and you hire the second tier coaches, it kind of causes issues. Brian Johnson, all he did was screen, 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 screen. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the team is too predictable. And the thing about this Eagles team, you have Kellen Moore. A lot of fans don't agree with the move because he's a former Cowboys assistant or coordinator. But from what I've heard, Jalen Hurts is happier. Um, and you got receivers. You have running backs like Barkley. You got the kid Jahan Dotson from Penn State, who was with the Commanders last year. So there's talent on offense and defense. You have CJ Gardner Johnson back. Um, you have you got Mitchell, and you had Cooper DeJean, which was a good cornerback or defensive back at Iowa. Um, Mitchell was a good cornerback All American at Toledo. So two Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have another cornerback in Slay. So you have a lot of help now on the secondary. You got David from the Buccaneers. So you have a good linebacker who won the Super Bowl. So you have a lot of veteran years now on the defensive side now.
Yeah.
Granted, they lost Kelsey, they lost Cox to retirement, but they have good leadership now on the Eagles. So
Yeah.
that being said, Ray, it's either Super Bowl or bust. And again, if I was on a coach, I think Sirianni still doesn't understand it. I think he's very lucky they got to Super Bowl where they did because they had a lot of talent. Um, so it's on Sirianni. It really is because he's
I,
the coach.
yeah. I
A lot
like
of people,
Sirianni. I like Sirianni. I like that he's willing to take. He's willing to go for it on fourth down in certain situations. He knows that you have to have the ball in your hand to do great things and win games. You have to be daring. You know what I mean? But don't put Jalen Hurts in too many of those situations where he could get hurt. Um, Listen, he's a young quarterback, and he's going to do the things needed and to win games. And sometimes the coaches have to protect players from those situations as well. I'm not, as you said, with Kellen Moore. I think the former Cowboys coordinator. I'm not in love with him really, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if he and Jalen Hurts can develop a good relationship going forward. Um, Looking at going back to the Premier League a little bit here. Ramsdale's having a tough time away to Brentford.
oh dear.
Southampton are 3-0 down, so Ramsdale has moved to Southampton. And it's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough season. He's going to face a lot of shots as well. Maybe Fulham are drawing with Ipswich right now, 1-1, and Wolverhampton Wanderers are drawing 1-1 as well. But there you go.
Coin
I
hammers.
I picked Everton, Alonso, and my point my points look pretty safe right now. So
I had a lot of work to do, Ray. I had no points probably.
you have a lot of work to do. I've actually gotten off to a good start. In the last two weekends, I've gotten points in the upset challenge. Uh,
Maybe I'm a little bit too ambitious.
so yeah, you're gonna. Uh, uh, I thought about actually just picking Arsenal uh, to beat Bournemouth to beat Brighton today, but that would have been only for 1 point. Everton are our team that probably won't go down, but people are already tipping them to go down. They had poor first 2 weekends. They had poor showing, and today they're beating Bournemouth 2-0. So looks like we're going to pick up points. Aston Villa are leading Leicester City as well, so Aston Villa have bounced back. Well, I wonder who scored for Fulham. Um, if it was one of the Arsenal boys, maybe even Reece Nelson, you know,
Yeah.
or if he's even playing, you know. But yeah, it's been good to chat here, Alonso. When Arsenal have a difficult result, it's always good to get on and start talking about it. It's a little bit like a therapy session. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
Arsenal this season, as we said in the podcast, we've added Raheem Sterling, who's going to give us some quality, but it's going to be much of the same if we don't have better seasons from Martinelli and Jesus in particular, and Odegaard. Odegaard will score some goals, but we need him to. And last season he was maybe worried about the balance with Havertz in midfield that took Odegaard away from the edge of the box. This season, we want Odegaard to be getting close to 15 goals again, like he did 2 seasons ago. Looking, Martinelli, looking at you to do something better than 6 goals like he got last season. He had 15, which was one of his best returns 2 seasons ago. I'm not buying where people say he had bad players to play with. You're a player, you're a Premier League player, you have quality, and it shouldn't matter who's around you in the course of a season. That you can't score more than 6 goals in the Premier League is we need more from Martinelli. We know Havertz and Saka have been big throughout this podcast. I've been talking about Havertz and Saka, and it looks like they're going to get the majority of the goals this season.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
where we are right now, Alonso, in the third game of the season.
yeah. As soon as it'd be a lot like it was 2 years ago. We had a lot of balance, a lot of people scoring goals, and a lot like last year as well. How we got Declan Rice scoring 7 goals and 7 assists, the exact same number that Granit Xhaka had the year before he left.
Yeah,
So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this current Arsenal squad get their goals. We also had goals from the defensive side as well, with Ben White and
yeah,
Gabriel Magalhaes scoring as well. Saliba, I think, had a couple,
yeah.
as did Taliasu too.
Yeah.
So
This again, we're going to be looking at the whole team, and you're going to have different goal scorers every week. Saka and Havertz, Odegaard will be sprinkled in there, but we're going to get goals from Mikel Merino is going to score goals. Declan Rice is going to score goals. Our center backs and maybe our fullbacks will get a goal or two here and there. Well, we're going to need Nathan Waneri as well. I forget where it's Ethan or Nathan. I think it's Nathan Waneri.
Ethan,
Ethan Waneri.
Ethan,
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to need. That's going to be a great story. I think the kid's got qualities. If we give him the minutes, he's going to score. He's going to do well for Arsenal.
yeah, I hope so, Ray. It's just at what point do we see him play in the league, or like I said, league or
And
League Cup game or FA
cup
Cup game
games,
or
Champions League games are coming as well.
the 19th, right?
So it's going to be. It's. I didn't want people to talk about January, but people will be talking about January and what we need to do in January. We'll be talking about January and October. I can
Yeah,
hear it now. You know what I mean? It's going to be tough where we're going to have three games a week when you're in the Champions League. And I was looking at Champions League fixtures. I think not that we want to, but the first couple of games are going to be tricky, and I think we'll be able to pick up more points in the second group of 4 of the 8 games. We'll do better in. So As long as we don't lose too many games, we'll be okay in the Champions League. We're gonna have to try and get into the top 8 of that league format. Because the top 8 go through without qualifying games, and then the next 16 playoff for 8 places to go into the playoffs. It'll be interesting. It's going to be a long season, Alonso.
Yeah, we could use that soccer though, right?
A long, hard Arsenal season. I think one of the things that most fans are disappointed about is that we didn't do enough to scare Man City. We didn't do enough to scare Liverpool. Pep is over there saying they brought Raheem. Is that all they did? They brought Raheem, you know.
What did they get?
Savinho and I think another player. They got 2 in, but that's it. Man City, they have the players, the forward players they have are arguably better than our forward players. Liverpool's forward players are arguably better than ours as well. But defensively, we will stop goals from going in. You know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool.
All right, very well. Thanks for coming on the Arsenal Tricks podcast. Excuse me, the Arsenal Tricks Galaxy podcast. So yeah, that being said, I hope that you have a good Labor Day weekend. I'll try to just stop by your podcast tomorrow.
I do have
Um,
a day off. Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully we won't hear a certain Lawrence egg on the box. Yeah, transfer policy.
We'll see who joins tomorrow. Hopefully, we have a full house, but there'll be lots to talk about.
And also, the race is on tomorrow at 5 o'clock, so it's an early start, race start rather. So hopefully, Martin Truex Jr. will win the race finally.
Good.
With that being said, thanks a lot, Ray, for joining me, and see you soon, pal.
I'm gonna go check out the last minutes of some of these games. Okay.
All right. Thanks, pal. See ya.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.